Hi everyone, welcome to your mats and happy new year. Today we will be doing a posture breakdown, probably one of the most used postures in a yoga series, and that is your chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra, and then your downward facing dog. So I think the best way is to actually start with your downward facing dog. You'll probably recall when you first started doing your yoga practice and this felt, as much as it was called the resting pose, absolutely did not feel like resting. But there's some really great ways to create engagement in our downward facing dog. There's a lot of possibility of slouching or collapsing into your joints, which results in an unsustainable yoga practice. So with these few tips and tricks, hopefully you can create a more sustainable and engaged downward facing dog. So the best way to actually start in your downward facing dog is a really nice way to do it is tabletop position. So stacking your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And that just gives you a really good foundation and a really good placement setup. Then before I go up, just to explain the feeling that you want to be encouraging your body to feel when you're in your downward facing dog, is an inverted V shape. And instead of feeling like you're pushing your weight to the back of your mat, rather imagine your weight and your hips going straight up towards the ceiling in front of you. So really you want that feeling of pulling up towards the sky, and in that way we're not collapsing into our joints. So stacking our body, finding that really nice tabletop position, tucking your toes in, and then on your exhale, push up into your downward facing dog. So I'll do a little bit example of what it would look like with my weight being to the back. It would kind of maybe look something like this. So your back is nice and flat, but the weight is all going backwards, and I'm kind of collapsing into my shoulders here. Versus something a little bit like this. You can see my knees are really bent, maybe you can't. Knees are nice and bent, my heels aren't on the ground, but I feel light as if I can jump straight off the mat. Chin is tucked to keep an elongated spine. And my shoulders are pulled up and my elbows are nice and straight. Come back down. So yeah, maybe trying that a few times. Your knees definitely don't have to be straight. Your heels definitely don't have to touch the ground. That doesn't make your pose better or worse, but that is a really nice way to feel like you're being lifted up, feeling a lot of lightness in your pose. Yeah, so that's the first bit. Then we're going to go into our chaturanga. So to start off, we'll be in a high plank position. You can have your feet far apart or together. I like to have my feet together just because I prefer it. Chin tucked so that you have a nice elongated spine. Inhale, weight moves to the front of your mat, and exhale, hug your elbows into your side body, like your elbows are touching your ribs. Go as low as you want, halfway down. Inhale. This would be your first option. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. This is when my knees are lifted off from the ground. What's important here is that you really want to open up through your collarbone, so have a nice broad shoulder. Actually physically you can kind of see this versus this, really nice and open. I'm really hugging my elbows still into my sides. Exhale, push up, slowly move your feet, come onto the soles of your feet and find that downward facing dog. Exhale, find your knees again. So that would be option 1. Option 2, same thing, we'll start in a high plank position. Really pulling up through the shoulders to the hands, feeling engaged. Inhale. Exhale, tuck in those elbows, and then you can go straight onto the ground into a high cobra. Or you can go all the way down into a low cobra. Inhale. Exhale, maybe rolling all the way down, pushing back onto all fours, and then exhale, downward facing dog. So I'm going to do that again, just a little bit faster this time. I'm actually going to roll up my pants so you can see what my legs are doing. And we can all try this together, all in one flow. high plank. Inhale. Exhale, chaturanga, tuck the elbows, flip the feet, open up through the collarbone, knees are engaged off the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. And you'll notice throughout the practice, maybe your heels get a little bit lower just as you start opening up, as you start getting more supple. Okay, next version, inhale. Exhale, maybe going all the way down to your belly. Cobra pose, keep those shoulders tucked, open up through that collarbone. Exhale, roll all the way down. Tuck your toes, push up through the knees, and find your downward facing dog. Remember, there is no right or wrong way. This is all about what's comfortable in your own body. And most importantly, it's all about the engagement and really lifting up and feeling light in your joints so that it becomes a sustainable movement practice.